You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Hey guys, it's your best friends, just a bald and a blonde over here hanging out. But guys, if you have been out flying in the cold and you haven't been watching that battery voltage number, you should remember at what number to start landing. But if you didn't remember and you had a little accident, maybe you broke the gimbal off your camera. Ooh. Maybe you've got a motor that's broken off. Whatever it is, you got to check out the guys at unmannedsas.com/DroneU. Why? Because they are a US-based parts and service company for drones.
Yep.
Again, unmannedsas.com/DroneU. For $29.95 as a listener of Drone U, they will diagnose your drone, let you know what's wrong with it, and if you elect to get it fixed with them, well, they'll give you $20 back of the $29.95 and put it towards your repair. So make sure to check them out. They are really cool guys, veteran-owned business, and they work here out of the good old US of A. So anyway, check them out. unmannedsas.com/DroneU. Also, a big special thank you to our sponsor, Charky. Charky is a gluten-free, all-natural, grass-fed snack. I said, wow, there's like so many things to like say there.
That's a lot of positive things going on in
yeah,
there.
paleo certified, could have added that.
Wow.
Nitrate-free.
And good.
And delicious. Just go to Amazon and search for the 3 flavors of Charky, or if you don't like searching for stuff, just go to charky.love and check out the sweet and spicy flavor. Again, it's lamb jerky, so it's chemical-free, higher in protein than beef jerky, but also tastes a lot better. Doesn't taste like that dried crap that you see in gas stations. If you really love paleo-certified food, gluten-free snacks, you've got to check this out. Just in your URL bar, type in charky.love. That's CHARKI.love. Anyway, guys, welcome to another awesome episode of Ask Drone U. My name is Paul.
My name is Rob, and this is episode 523. And as always, we are very appreciative of you hanging out with us today.
Also, very appreciative and thank you for the reviews on the podcast and the reviews on the book, Living the Drone Life. If it weren't for you, guys, we wouldn't be spreading the word to more and more people, educating more operators, and maintaining the freedoms to fly. So thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen. That's very helpful.
And if you do listen and you're like, oh, I just want to see some of the things they're talking about, you can check us out on YouTube. Let's get into today's question, Rob. And this is something that is near and dear to a lot of people. We've talked about this before, but we are going to give you a very succinct answer. So if you wanted to take this podcast to someone who is hiring illegal operators, you can give them a very succinct, this is what will happen to you podcast. Okay?
Sweet.
Hello, Drone U. My name is Riley, and a friend of mine and I have recently started an aerial photography business in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And your guys' YouTube channel has been a lot of help to both of us. I had a question specifically regarding how to tell people, specifically real estate agents, politely that when they find a guy or they do drone aerial footage themselves, that they're actually breaking federal law. Because too many times I've said that and people just hang up on me. And I try and do it as polite as I can, but they don't seem to want to hear that. So I was just wondering how you guys do that, because I'm sure you've probably encountered that. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Riley, thank you. It's a good question, and it's one that we hear a lot.
All the time.
It actually has been pretty much nonstop since the 107 came out.
Which it surprises me that so many people will go so far out of their way not to pay $150 to take a simple test. I really don't get it.
Yeah, I agree. And it's one of the things that whenever you're in any industry, drones now, you look forward to the opportunity to have licensing because you know that's a relatively simple way to set yourself apart, to present yourself as a viable option for clients that's been vetted, etc. And so why not go get that taken care of? But a lot of people don't.
A lot of people don't. A lot of people are lazy. And a lot of people are fearful of taking tests. I'm calling you out because it's a joke. Seriously, grow up. Anyway, all right, got that out of the way.
No, yeah,
Okay, I'm
that
good now.
feels
Everything
much better.
I do, I feel like got a little release there. Feels good. Okay. All right, now let's talk to those realtors. And there's a guy here in Albuquerque who hires illegal operators all day long, and he just doesn't care. Now, remember, FSDO is your friend. If you know a realtor who is hiring illegal drone operators, it is up to you as a drone operator who is licensed to make sure, well, if they are breaking safety protocol, and again, safety, because if they are breaking safety, it's important that FSDO is aware of this. FSDO is your local flight standards district office. It's the FAA local enforcement arm. A lot of people are saying, well, FSDO just doesn't have the resources to enforce this. Well, if you have a picture or a video from that realtor's website, there's your enforcement right there. Boom. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, well, I call FSDO on these illegal operators all the time, and I'm just not really seeing anything with it. Well, guys, I would say there are news stories coming down the pipe right now of $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 fines for people just like these realtors who were hiring illegal drone operators and were charged $1,100 per offense. So if they flew a drone without a license.
So to be clear, we're talking the realtor, if they're not flying, they're hiring somebody. The realtor's not going to get fined, but the pilot could get fined. Right?
Correct. But if the realtor is flying, the realtor could be liable.
Correct.
But now
Right.
here's the fun thing. Here's the fun fact. Realtor's like, oh, okay, well, if I hire an illegal drone pilot, he's going to get in trouble, not me. Well, here's the caveat here, guys. If that drone pilot has an investigation open against him, do you as a realtor want to be subpoenaed by the federal government? Do you want to have your business shut down for however long it takes them to search through all your files to find the invoices that you paid this guy? Do you really want to have that scrutiny and your reputation? Do you really want to do something like that over something so simple for aerial images when you could just hire a guy who has a license?
There's plenty of them out there, good ones.
There's very good ones.
A lot of
yeah.
them are Drone U members.
And I'm not going to lie. If I see a realtor using an illegal operator, here's my caveat, if they are unsafe, so they're flying in restricted airspace, flying over people, flying in a way that is just, you're just like, what are you doing? Maybe I will take the time to call FSDO.
Well, and that's really the only time that, as you alluded to at the beginning of the podcast, they're going to listen.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're just reporting somebody, this guy flew and he doesn't have a 107, they are not going to listen to you. But if there's a legitimate safety issue, which you kind of did give a couple of examples there, I guess. I kind of wanted to go a little bit back around to his question specifically. That is, you're talking to a realtor. What are you going to say to them in the context of what he brought up?
You want to be my realtor, Rob?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's do some role play here at Drone U. All right, Rob. I'm going to call you Bob, okay?
Bob works.
Bob. Hey, Bob. Paul Aiken here from Drone U. I am giving a few realtors a call, just letting them know we have a current sale going on for our drone services. We're doing a little aerial photo, a little aerial video. We are federally certified and licensed drone pilots. So
Wait, what does that mean?
that means we have a nice, I call it the green card. It's our little FAA license
So
that
you're
says...
a legal immigrant.
No,
No?
that's funny though.
Oh.
No, it's a federal license. It looks a lot like this right here. And it says that I have the ability to fly for commercial purposes. And a lot of people say, well, commercial means money. Not always. It actually means furthering your business. So even if you take an image and put it on your website and you don't have a license, you could be liable for a fine. And here's the thing, $1,100 for every fine. So if you're in restricted airspace, you fly a drone without a license and it's over a house and you use, say, 2 or 3 batteries, you are going to have an $1,100 fine for every time you put a new battery in, went up in the air. And if you weren't registered, we're just tacking them on. So now we're at $3,300 for each time you went up and took off.
So I've heard that the FAA doesn't have enough people to monitor it anyway, so it doesn't seem like there's a lot of risk.
Yeah, but if I just go on your website and I snap an image of one of your drone photos and I can prove that it was taken by an illegal operator, that's all the proof I need to go to the FAA and have you investigated.
Is that a threat?
No, it's just saying that, drone pilots are a very serious business, and it's $150 to take the test and to make sure that people are flying in a safe manner. So that way we can retain our freedoms to fly. We know how to mitigate emergencies. We know what airspace we're flying in. That way we never risk someone's life. And that's all the FAA is trying to do by the license. I mean, really, for $150, it's not that hard of a test to take and pass.
You know what? I've got a nephew. He's in his early 20s, and he's a really good pilot. He doesn't have his license yet, but I just don't see a lot of risk with using him to get this kind of stuff done.
Let me ask you this. If your nephew was investigated by the federal government and he was levied a $20,000 or $30,000 fine, how would you feel that he was your nephew? And because of a decision you made, he could be facing very serious penalties. He's already in debt because of college. He's not going to be buying a car until he's 30. He's probably not going to be buying a house until he's 40. All because you were selfish in the fact that you wanted to hire someone without a license. But now here's the kicker. This is actually where I would be really happy to see someone like you pay for an indecision like that. I would be stoked and probably take pictures and post it on YouTube of the federal government shutting down your office as they subpoena you and look through everything in your office because you wanted to hire someone who didn't know how to fly drones safely. What does that do for our industry? What does that do for your industry? What does that say about your integrity as a realtor?
So what? Yeah,
I'm sure someone is going to be like, "Well,
I'm thinking as I'm listening because there are a lot of different approaches to take with sort of the same bent. But true. I don't know. You almost have to think of it as I'm listening to you on a macro level. So there's a couple points to make here. My point is, by the time you're finished with that conversation, this person might hate you. But
I'm okay with that.
I understand. But you might have educated them to the point where they're going to rethink whether they'll hire a non-certified pilot.
Yeah, and if it takes balls to seriously say, you know what, you're doing something wrong, you're going to pay for it, and the person you're screwing over, what is that going to do to your reputation? What does that say about your integrity? What does that say about what kind of business person you are? Like, you're a thief.
So Paul is really thinking about the industry now, talking like that.
Sorry.
But another way to approach this, I think, graciously.
I think the other thing I would say is, would you really want one simple picture ruining your business?
Yeah.
Your reputation, right? But I would say, doesn't it take a very long time to build your reputation, but yet it can be taken away from you in seconds?
Yeah, and I think that could particularly become true as things progress. Right now, that's not real likely to happen, but the FAA is ramping up. More people are getting certified. The industry is sort of building that foundation to where that's going to be a potential. But one of the other things, Paul, is I would probably ask a realtor, let me ask you a question. How would you feel if you knew there was somebody out there selling real estate and they were not licensed? It would drive that realtor
nuts.
Batty.
And that's a good thing to say. Be like, how would you feel if there was someone out there selling houses without a realtor's license?
Exactly. And I don't know, because we all
put it in their terms, because here's the thing. If you can get on an emotional level,
right.
This is like, Chris Voss talked about this in, I think the book is called Splitting the Difference. Chris Voss was an FBI negotiator for 25 years. And, I think the slogan of the book is like, mothers have terrorists too, or like something about moms are terrorists too. And it's all about how the fact that they literally tinkered with the way that people perceived information to make people feel emotional. So for example, he was talking about, in a podcast, he's talking about how this guy was taken in the Philippines, and they don't call them terrorists, they call them, freedom fighters. And they're like, well, the guy who you took, his mom is wondering like if he's okay, and she's just praying for him and just wants to see him. And, we were just wondering if you could, send us a picture. And the way that the FBI actually looks about these things and negotiates is just so psychologically
brilliant.
Driven. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you can use those same tactics that Chris Voss uses in his book against these realtors and these things, you are going to mind the crap out of them. Okay?
Right.
And honestly, it is all a psychological game. The whole point in me telling that story is the fact that The lesson from his book is if you can get people on an emotional level where they empathize with you, you can get anything you want.
Yeah, and there is a way to go about that, and that is to remain calm, right?
Oh,
Not
yeah.
escalate yourself.
And you have to give respect to get respect.
Absolutely, yeah. And so the underlying issue there is ask if their mom would be proud of them for doing something illegal.
I think you nailed it on the head when you were like, how would you feel if a realtor was selling houses without a license? Because it's just that punchline, and then you're like, yeah! What are you going to do now?
I do think done the right way, not like jabbing a knife into them, but done the right way with the right tone, the right approach. I think that could be effective because I think even an unreasonable person, if they're honest, and they might not be honest with you on the phone, but it's going to give them pause and it's going to make them think.
So and just so you guys know, I have a story, an article coming out where we actually discuss an FAA enforcement action that's happened in West Texas, in the Dallas area, for a realtor for a $20,000 fine. So I'm excited to tell that story, but I'm waiting for the details because I don't want to come out with the story just yet until all the details are confirmable, because the FAA has told me about all of these enforcement actions that are going on, and I have yet to see any proof.
Right.
So I want to see the proof, and I would be happy because it's like, hey, you guys are living up to your word, and I like that. That's good, you know? Like,
no, I look forward to hearing that as well.
I don't want enforcement actions against myself, but I also know how to follow the rules. So
Right. Absolutely.
Anyway, guys, well, hope that helps you. Send this podcast to a realtor or someone who's hiring illegal operators. Let them hear it for themselves. So literally at the end of this podcast in iTunes, click the little share button, copy the link. What is this, episode 523?
523.
Make sure when you copy the link, you say it's episode 523 and give it to someone. Share it on LinkedIn. Share it in an association's realtor page. And for me, I'm actually going to go to NAR, and I want to do an article on this soon because it's rampant. Illegal operations are still rampant. And it's just like, why?
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of people say, well, the FAA's inability to make it easy. And that's why.
Exactly.
So,
I don't think there's not a lot of risk to those folks yet.
There is not. And in fact, we're seeing some arguments from some very large-scale drone companies about flying in particular airspace up to a certain altitude or elevation. Mm-hmm. Remember that email?
I very clearly remember that email.
So they were saying that this person was getting a job from a particular drone jobbing site in Class Delta airspace.
Yep.
And they were told to not go over 84 feet, that they wouldn't need a clearance in that controlled airspace as long as they didn't go over 84 feet, because their lawyers were prepared to defend the operator. But there was a caveat in all of this.
Not the pilot.
Yeah. So why don't you explain the caveat? Because the way that what they said was, if the pilot drags us into this matter, we will defend them and defend ourselves and say that a homeowner owns the airspace to their house up to that usable level. And there's some interpretation of Cosby versus U.S. that states 84 feet somewhere. That's a lawyer has to be getting that from somewhere. But they're saying that as long as he doesn't go over 84 feet, he doesn't need.
Essentially, they're not in FAA jurisdiction, right?
That is the argument.
Right.
That is not what we're saying.
No.
Not what we're saying. That is the argument that they are making. So I want to get this lawyer on the show because it kind of contradicts a lot of things that are going on.
If we can get a lawyer that is willing to come on the show and talk about that and succinctly state that is their position, this would be a 50,000 download episode.
Oh, easy. So if you are a drone lawyer or you call yourself a drone lawyer,
they're probably not coming on now.
Yeah. No, I just hate. There are some guys out there who are lawyers, and then all of a sudden they became drone lawyers, and it's like no. Anyway, so if you are a lawyer, a lot of experience, and you must have a Martindale Hubble rating of BV or higher, so you actually have to be a good lawyer and searchable and have a peer review. We would love to have you on the show if this is a argument you are familiar with. I found, though, here's the good news. There is an aviation lawyer in Albuquerque who wants to partner up with DroneU, and I finally found her card.
Sweet.
Yeah, because the reason I met her is I was getting my tires replaced on the Expedition, and she was like, "You work for Drone Paul?" I was like,
"No."
Hi.
Name's John. Thank you very much.
No, she was a sweetheart. So excited to chat with her. But again, if you're a drone lawyer and you've heard this argument or you'd like to talk about this argument, please write us an email, support@thedroneu.com. That's support@thedroneu.com. Anyway, guys, deep breath. That's going to do it for us today. My name's Paul.
My name's Rob.
Thank you again for listening. As always, this is Ask Drone U.